Welcome to the Hockey Writers Chicks and Sticks, a weekly show hosted by some of our best female hockey writers, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From talking hockey with NHL personalities to tackling the latest big issues, our team covers everything hockey and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some Chicks and Sticks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my partners in crime, Kristy Flannery, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Holland. How are you doing tonight, ladies?
What's up?
Hello, hello. So if you're enjoying our show, make sure to drop us a like, a follow, or a comment from wherever you're watching or listening. So this week, we have a little something different and special in store for you. We're trying this out. We'll see if we repeat it next year. But we thought with training camps are in full swing, hockey is officially back, and we know that the big thing going on these days is everyone's getting ready or has getting ready for their fantasy drafts, or they're already done, and bragging rights are already up for grabs. So we thought we'd do a Chicks and Sticks version of fantasy draft with expansion draft rules. So in honor of the arrival of the 32nd NHL team, the Seattle Kraken. So what we did is we drafted our starting lineup. Each of us drafted our starting six. So goalie, 3 forwards, 2 defensemen. But the caveat is that we only had, because as we all know, it's a hard salary cap league, the NHL. So we have to make sure that we follow by the rules as well. So we imposed a $25 million salary cap for these 6 players that we selected. So we could pick anyone, but we had to stay within that salary cap. And you know what? We did the draft earlier this week, and we're going to present it to you tonight or tomorrow, whenever you're listening. And we all stayed under the $25 million cap. And I have to say that we have some pretty good starting lineups for you. So,
some are better than
honestly,
others.
They're all at least
very impressed. Yeah. I was very impressed. I have to say, each of us came pretty prepared. I was very impressed with the research that went into this. And I will let the ladies explain a bit their strategy behind these picks. So we'll start with from the net up. So of course, because goalies rule, goalies are often the unsung heroes of our team. So we'll start with the goalie in net and work our way up. So Hannah, we'll start with you. Who did you choose as your goaltender for your starting 6?
So I chose Patterson, who ironically, or maybe not so ironically, but he signed a contract extension the day after. So we did the draft Tuesday night, and he signed his extension on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But he is still only making $858,000 this year. So that
bargain.
I was looking for, he's a young up-and-coming player. He had a pretty good year last year. I'm pretty sure Robin Leonard, one goaltender was listing the 5 best goaltenders he thinks that are in the league right now, and Patterson was on that list. It was also the 5th round of the draft, so I needed something cheap, and someone I've decided to go young because young is cheap. At least
for now,
at least while they're on their entry-level contract. So that's why I chose Patterson of the LA Kings. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, very good up-and-coming goalie who I think is going to be a great value pick for you. Mariah, who did you pick as your goalie?
I followed Yzerman's route and snatched Alex Nedeljkovic, if I said that right, or
Ned.
I didn't really have an exact strategy other than trying to get the best goalie I could at the value I had. And I think he's going to be a really good up and coming. I mean, last year he played really well, was up for the Calder. So I'm excited to see where he goes, and I'm really excited for him to be on my draft team so I can have a good goaltender. little
And
pricey at $3 million, but I'll take it.
not bad considering what
Yeah,
some of the
that's
number one
true.
goalies make in the
Yeah.
league today.
Yeah.
But I think if I remember, you picked him first.
Second.
It was your second pick. Okay.
Yeah, we all know who was first.
The bias did prevail in the first
That's
round.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll learn. Well, I'm sure you know what the bias is, but we'll get to that.
When
I
in
should have
doubt-
also mentioned that one of the things I didn't mention in our rules is that we could pick any position in any round.
Yes.
So it didn't go in order.
Mhm.
So that was also part of the strategy in building it.
Mhm.
So Kristy, who is your goaltender?
My goaltender is Mackenzie Blackwood from the New Jersey Devils.
There's the bias.
I was just gonna say.
Okay, first of all, we all have bias. When we get to our team, every single one of us has a pick from our home team. So let's just get that out of the way real quick. I've been saying this for probably like 2 seasons now. Blackwood's a star. He doesn't get enough credit. He's 6'4". He was somewhat cheap. I think he was my second pick. I'll get to my first pick later on, but he was my second. And yeah, I have faith in Blackwood. So I am happy with my goaltender.
Good stuff. My goaltender is Spencer Knight of the Florida Panthers. I was actually in a very similar situation to Hannah, so I left my goalie to my final pick. So my budget was pretty limited at that point, and so I had to look for a cheap goalie, but I managed to find a great one on an entry-level contract. So I was really happy about that. And I think that even though I think they're still going to at least start with Bobrovsky as the number one goalie in Florida to start the year, I think Spencer Knight is definitely going to get his fair share of starts this year. So
I forgot Bobrovsky was on Florida for a hot second. When you first started that sentence, I was like thinking about it, I'm like, who's the starter in Florida these days?
It's $10 million man, right?
$10 million man.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I'm
As
sure
Hannah just drinks the rest of her wine.
I bet the Panthers wish that they could forget about me too. But yeah, so I have high hopes for Spencer Knight this year. I think he's going to make a name for himself this year. So that was my logic for my goalie. So we'll move on to the defenseman. We'll start with your left defenseman. So we'll go the opposite way this time. Kristy, who did you pick for your left?
My defense is a hot mess. First off, I picked 2 left-handed, like left shooting defensemen. So we're just going to switch one over to the side. So I'll start with, I picked Hayden Fleury.
Nice.
There's no rhyme or reason. I was probably the least prepared out of all the chicks. There was no real thought. I saw him. He had a good cap, might have a good season with Seattle. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I think he's a candidate to have a breakout year for sure. So
Agreed.
not as bad as a pick as you might think. Mariah, who is your left G?
I had another $3 million player in Ryan Lindgren from New York, and I had heard quite a bit about him. And I mean, I was honestly just going through Cap Friendly and looking at players. But when I saw his name pop up, I was like, why do I recognize that name? So I looked at his stats and I'm like, I need to have him as a defenseman. And he's younger, so mine's pretty young, my team. So
Isn't he also from Minnesota?
possibly, I'm not 100% sure on
I
that.
feel like he is. Wait.
And the bias continues.
You think I would know, but apparently it just called out to me.
He is from Minnesota.
Well, there you go. So see, that's why you felt gravitated towards him. That's obviously why.
Minnesota.
The Rangers definitely have a lot of young defensemen there. So you're gonna take your pick from the team for sure. Hannah, who do you have on your left side?
So on my left side, I chose Jacob Slavin. I think he is one of the most underrated defensemen in this league. He won the Lady Byng Award last year.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jacob Slavin. I loved watching him play in Carolina when I went to school down there. Like he is I really think he's one of the most underrated players in this league. He's so good, so talented, and I was really glad I was able to make it work onto my team.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, excellent.
I like that pick a lot.
And I literally probably could only make it work because I went really cheap on my right side.
Yeah, but really cheap on your right side, but we won't give away the punch on who that is. So, on my left side, I have a young defenseman as well, but maybe a little bit more established, but I think someone that often is forgotten about because he plays in a much smaller market is Jacob Chychrun, who is probably, well, I think Arizona's best player, and a really great defenseman. So I wanted to give him some love because he definitely deserves it, and he can play on my team any day. And also I have to say, shout out to Cap. We didn't say, but shout out to Cap Friendly for
all the guidance.
Yeah, for the guidance and the support during this endeavor.
We cannot do it without you.
You know. All right, we'll go right side now, right D. Mariah, we'll start with you.
I went with Ethan Bear.
Who is, I read, was partnered with Jacob Slavin today at Carolina's first day of training camp. So interesting. I thought that was an interesting pair. Yeah.
That'd be fun to watch.
Another young player that I've heard nothing but good things about, and I'm excited to see how well he does. So that's why I picked him.
Yep. Excellent pick. Kristy.
I picked a proven champion and went with Sergachev from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I needed somebody, so added some physicality, some, so I grabbed.
Yeah. Some edge. I really like how we're trending young for these teams.
The younger players tend to
younger
have
or cheaper.
This exercise is proof that there are a lot of really good players on reasonable contracts that are overshadowed by the enormous contracts given to others. Hannah, who's on your right side?
So I think I had the steal of the draft, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not gonna toot my own horn, but
Yeah.
I got Adam Fox for my right side at $925,000, which again allowed me to kind of go a little bit higher of Jacob Slavin, and I think they would actually make a really great pairing together.
Yeah, that's
assuming that they both make the U.S. Olympic team this year.
Yeah.
I feel like I just predicted the Olympics. So
I feel like you have the best defenseman. Like you have the best defense at the draft.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Because I was a little angry by Hannah's pick there because I picked after her, and he was going to be my next pick, and she just came in and stole him from me.
He was my second pick.
So,
I didn't want to take him.
But that's okay. That's okay. Good drafting there. My right defenseman, well, this is my first instance of bias for this draft. I chose Jeff Petrie. I had to have some veteran presence in there. And, I get to watch him a lot in Montreal, so I know how good he is. And he is actually on a rather friendly contract that he's the first year of a 4-year extension that he's starting this year. So that's my first instance of bias. There is another one coming later that you'll hear about. So now we're moving to our forward group. So our center, left wing, and right wing. We'll start with down the middle. So with your center, Kristy, who did you select?
This is where my strategy comes in. So I had the first overall pick, and I took the Ken Holland approach of getting one player that's just going to carry my team. The team around it might not be that great, but we're carrying it. We're putting our team on the back of Nathan McKinnon.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, really.
That's the strategy. He's going to get me I can guarantee at least a first round appearance. Might not make it far afterwards, but That's
In
what
a
we want.
salary cap era, you got to go with
Yeah.
with the player that can carry your team that's also on the best contract,
Yeah.
which is why Connor McDavid unfortunately was not selected in our draft. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Or I mean,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise.
Surprise. Yeah.
No.
I figure if McKinnon can keep, possession of the puck, the defense and the goaltender don't really have to worry about it. That was all the strategies around Nathan McKinnon.
Well, I mean, he is on probably the most friendly contract in the NHL. I think he's
Definitely one of them,
probably
yeah.
the best contract in the NHL, considering that he's probably the second best player in the league and the best player for many people. So I think he had to be chosen. So I'm glad you did. Mariah, who did you have as your center?
Oh, help me with his name, Mel.
Oh, yes. I remember who it is.
It's Rupe, right?
Yes, Rupe. So Mariah is the team of first names. Ned and Rupe. So Rupe Hintz from the Dallas Stars.
Yeah,
Another very underrated player.
I looked up his stats because, again, I had never heard of him for some reason, and I was like, how have I never heard of this player before? And I selected him as center because I'm like, he's gonna be perfect between my two wings.
Do you have any players over the age of 25?
Probably not.
I'm trying to think for your roster right now. I really don't think you do, which is fun.
Lindgren might be close. I'm not sure.
See?
I'd have to look.
Well, they say it's a young players league these days, so
It is. You have an advantage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah, who do you have down the middle?
I have Alexander Barkov, who's playing on the Florida Panthers, who, I think we all know the Florida Panthers, they had a great season last year, and I think they're going to have a great season this year. And he is, he's the center of that team, so he can be the center of my team. If it's good enough, if it's good enough for the Florida Panthers, I guess it's good enough for me too.
So just to recap, we said that, Connor McDavid wasn't chosen on the team, but I just want to remind people that currently Hannah has on her team Jacob Slavin, an award winner, Adam Fox, so 3 award winners on your team so
3
far.
out of 4 so far.
So that's pretty impressive. With
maybe Cal Patterson will be a Calder nominee this year.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. Future.
Yeah. So my center, this is my second instance of bias because I was looking for somebody who on a cheaper contract, who I know is going to produce tons for me. And I think he's going to have a breakout year as Montreal's new number 1 center, Nick Suzuki. I love this guy for so many reasons. He's such a complete player, and I think he's going to have a huge year. So that sums that up. And of course, he comes at his entry level cap hit of $863,000. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
We love the entry level contracts.
Yes.
Yeah, we do, but nobody took Jack Hughes at $925,000.
Interesting.
Nobody took him as a center.
Interesting.
I just thought about that.
Yes, it is interesting. All right, left wing now. Mariah, who do you have?
Here comes the strong bias. I went with Kirill Kaprizov. I had to. And Hannah, I just looked it up. My oldest players are 25. 2 of them.
Called it. Also, Kaprizov literally signed that. We set another parameter we set was that they had to be under contract by the day we did it. Like no current. So like Quinn Hughes was out of the picture. Brady Tkachuk. Kaprizov signed his deal Tuesday, like 2 or 3 hours before we started filming, just so that Mariah could choose him.
Exactly.
That's why he did it. That's why he signed when he did.
He knew I had to have him on my roster, and I think everyone knows why.
Well, and I have to commend Mariah too for taking on his $9 million cap hit and still managing to assemble a very good team around him. So kudos to you.
I think Kaprizov is the most expensive player in our league.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, 100%.
He is. Yeah. Hannah, who is your left wing?
Well, left wing is also where my bias comes in because I chose Brad Marchand. He was my first. He was my first selection. I agree. Nathan McKinnon's probably one of the best contracts in the league, but I would also argue that Brad Marchand is one of the best contracts in this league. He only makes $6.1 million a year, and he was on pace for over 100 points like the last 3 seasons. So, I mean, I know people on this call do not like Brad Marchand, but
I know it's me. I know.
I love Marchand, and I think it's such a good story of a guy who started pretty much as a fourth liner and worked his way up to being a 100-point scorer.
I saw a great quote from him today that made me really laugh. He said they asked him how long he was hoping to play, and he said, "Well, I'm going to play for as long as they, until they kick me out of the league, which could be tomorrow." So
I love them.
I thought that was a great quote from him.
Talk about a guy of a good person. Like, he just has such a good personality. I love Brad Marchand, and I am so happy to have him on my team. He is the most expensive player on my team, but I will gladly pay him his $6.1 million. I will pay him out of my own pocket, apparently.
Oh, really? Kristy, who do you have at left wing?
I grabbed, by no surprise, Blake Coleman. I will pay the 4.9. I'm kind of like Hannah. I will pay him. He is good defensive forward. My defense is probably going to need some help. That's who I grabbed.
He's your favorite player.
Blake Coleman.
And it's Blake Coleman. I mean,
Blake
who doesn't?
Coleman.
Yeah, it's Blake Coleman. It's like Blake Coleman and Nathan McKinnon. Like, you have to do it. Surprisingly, though, I did take Blake Coleman in like the 4th round.
It's true. She showed a great deal of restraint.
I did. I held out as long as I could, and then I had no forwards. So I went into a little bit of panic mode because I had no idea who was around. I was like cap friendly, just swiping.
My left wing will Hannah selected Alexander Barkov as her center. I chose Barkov's winger, Jonathan Huberdeau, in Florida. Again, I think one of the most underrated players in the league. I think if you played on another team like Tampa, for example, he would be a superstar. And I just, I had to get somebody, a Quebec-born player on my team too. I had that. I guess most of my team is actually biased.
So you're the most biased this episode.
I think I'm the most biased of this episode. No, I had to show love to some Quebec-born player for my team for sure. So he was my pick. All right, last one. That went fast actually. Right wing. So who rounds out our teams? We'll go around. Hannah, who do you have?
Well, since you chose a Quebec player, I chose a Boston-born player. So again, I think this shows that we're all biased, and maybe that's why we can't be NHL GMs. But I chose Connor Garland for my right wing. I think he's going to do really, really well in Vancouver this year. I think he, was one again, like Jacob Chikrin. I think he was one of the few bright spots in Arizona last season and the year before. He was my last pick, but because I had gone cheaper on goalie, I had actually a fair amount of spending money left. So his 4.95 was easy, and I actually had almost $1 million left over. So
yeah. Very thrifty spending there.
Yeah, I'm very happy with my team.
I'd be happy with your team too.
Yeah.
I got Marchand, and I got a guy from Boston. So we're doing well over here.
Mariah, who do you have to round out here?
Well, I picked another player, and I just noticed this, that has his first and last, or his initials are K and K. I didn't even realize this. I have Kasperi Kapanen on my right wing. Another player I've heard good things about. Young, that was my main reasoning. And
25 and under club.
And I think, honestly, if they actually got to play together in real life, I think him and Kaprizov would do well together. But we'll just have to see how they do alone.
Well, at least he plays with your other favorite player, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
That is
Thought
true.
about
That is true.
Kristy, who do you?
I feel like this just shows how unprepared I was for this. I had more money left over than I thought. So I got so excited and went right to like the most expensive player that I can get, because you have the money, you got to spend it. And I grabbed Anthony Cirelli, only to discover that he technically is a centerman. So I have depth at center if McKinnon goes down. And that's, I have Cirelli. So I'm sliding all my players around. I'm taking them all out of their element and just switching them all the way around.
You took the versatile approach. You built a versatile top six. So everyone's gonna play.
That's a very nice way of putting it.
You also have 3 people who just won a Stanley Cup on your team. So
you got to have that Stanley Cup presence. Sorelli, that we have chemistry building on this team, and as long as McKinnon doesn't get injured, we're okay, I guess. Depth at center.
So my right wing will hopefully please our producer Matt. I chose Brock Besser from the Vancouver Canucks. Again, I guess my theme for my team is just underrated players, because I feel like he is as well an underrated player. And considering that the Habs played the Canucks about 12 times last year, I got a good dose of Brock Besser, and he's a really great player. So, so I thought, and that's actually kind of where I spent my money on my 2 wingers, to be able to support my young center in the middle. So,
good strategy.
Yeah.
Is Suzuki underrated though? I feel like he's not.
No, I don't think he is.
I feel like there's like a pressure around him.
There is.
Perform.
He's, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for him to perform this year. So we'll see. But I guess it just feels like he doesn't really show that he's affected by the pressure. He kind of just rolls with it. So you're like, God, is this kid a human or what?
I feel like that's what you need in Montreal.
Yeah.
And Toronto. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, Mel, you picked my other bias with Besser, North Dakota.
See?
For college.
So it all comes full circle. So that concludes our draft, our first annual Chicks and Sticks draft. It was actually a lot of fun to do. It was challenging. I'll admit that we actually had the salary cap lower than 25 million initially, and when I started doing the exercise, I went, wow, this is going to be, I think we need to give ourselves a little bit more flexibility here, because it is our starting 6. It is our, starting lineup. So I think we could afford to add, some more quality players. But it's, it just, as we said, Connor McDavid wasn't selected. Austin Matthews wasn't selected. So that was the name of the game. We wanted to kind of have the restrictions of what like Seattle had, and NHL is a flat cap league, so we had to play by those rules too. So we'll keep track. We'll be tracking our players as the season goes, to see goalie wins and points, goals and assists, and we'll see which team performs the best. And perhaps we'll conduct some sort of trophy, Chicks and Sticks trophy for the winner at the end of the regular season. But
who's the predictions? Who are our predictions on who's going to perform the best?
I think Hannah.
Yeah.
I feel like Mel could, if Nick Suzuki really has a really good year, I think you could slide in there.
All depends on injuries too. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, we only have 6. We only have 6 players. Exactly. If someone goes down, we
don't have a taxi squad on our. No taxi squad.
I have so much faith in Hannah's team. Like I have so much more faith in hers than I do in mine. Like I feel like Hannah's really going to make something.
Kristy, yours might sneak out of nowhere and do better than all of us.
I mean, wing it a prayer, but I guess we'll see.
I think there's positives to every team that we selected.
Yeah.
Again, I think we also did this at like 10 p.m. So
it was really late.
I'm really impressed with how they turned out.
And we were on a Zoom time constraint. We have to get this done in 30
we were
minutes.
On a Zoom time constraint. So, you know, it was also a rapid, you know, how we like to do rapid fire on Chicks and Sticks.
It was a rapid fire draft.
Our draft was rapid fire. So, but Kristy, you chose the best player you probably have the best player of all. Like, so you never.
We all know he's gonna be injured this year. Like we all know this. He's gonna skate out into the ice and like something's gonna happen. He's gonna be out for like 6 months.
And it's gonna be your fault, Kristy.
Yeah.
Colorado fans better not come at me because I'm picking them to win the Stanley Cup. So I'm with you.
Oh yeah, I forgot about my prediction for them. I'll just stay quiet.
Yeah, that's true. I can't get worse than that.
Hey, at least I didn't say their player would go down though.
That's true. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's strong.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
No.
Get me like 150 points. He'll be great.
Well, 82 games, you know, more points.
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
That first line's still together. So really anything's possible.
Yeah. So that wraps up the show for this week. Thank you so much for indulging us with our draft. We hope you had fun, as much fun as we did doing it. We've been talking about doing this draft for a while now, so we were glad that we were able to get it done. And we thought it was a great way to sort of lead into the 2021-22 season, and kind of wrap up last season as well a little bit. So we'll be actually taking a break next week. So we're going to miss you guys, but I will be back in 2 weeks, but it's for a really good reason, because Mariah is getting married next week. Yay. So Chicks and Sticks wedding next week. And so we decided to give her the week off. We thought we'd give her the week off. But we'll be back the following week, refreshed and ready to dive into the new season, because we're going to have tons to talk about as we get closer to opening night. So from each of our teams, respective teams, and around the league. So be sure to tune in. It's kind of our season premiere.
I was going to say season 2.
Yeah.
Chicks and Sticks.
Unreal. 21 episodes in season 1, and we're going into season 2. So thank you so much for all your support through the first 21 episodes. We really appreciate it. It's a real pleasure to do this show every week. And these girls are amazing. And so make sure you're reading all their stuff, because they're also really good writers, and that you're following the Hockey Writers on social media, that you're listening to all the other awesome shows on our YouTube channel and our podcast platforms. We actually just launched 2 new shows today, Howlers and Growlers about the Arizona Coyotes, and Focus on the Flyers with our writing teams for them. So we just keep getting bigger, and we're just pumping out the content already, and today was day 1 of training camp. So we got lots more to come. And of course, make sure you're signed up for the Morning Skate newsletter, morningskate.io, to sign up, so that you're not missing anything, because the news is coming fast these days. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. I feel like I'm rambling. Thanks, ladies, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
Congrats to Mariah.
Yay!